Sup guys, Derek from moreplatesmoredates.com. So the Olympia's done. Sean Roden takes the throne from Phil Heath. Buendia gets kicked down to fourth. And classic Bumstead loses to Breon. So I was way off with all of my predictions, which really surprised me, honestly. I thought Phil had to come in very off, in my opinion, to lose. And I guess it was just the perfect storm of Sean Roden just peaking perfectly and Phil Heath coming in off. And like I predicted, his gut was still there despite having his hernia removed. I don't know why anyone thought it would be gone via having a hernia surgery. It would just be the perforated part that would be put back in. But I kind of anticipated that, and I feel like he knows the gut is an issue. It's not like he's oblivious to that. Is he going to be able to bring it down next year? I don't think so. I think it's probably possible, but I feel like he'd have to sacrifice pounds of muscle in order to lose that. And I don't think he's going to do that. I think, I don't know. I don't really know what these guys do at the end of the day, but my best guess is a lot of it is, just excessive food and having more muscle than should be on your frame in particular. Like, when you start gaining muscle, you gain it everywhere, and that includes your abdominals, your obliques, and the bigger you get, the more chance of being blocky and losing your kind of like aesthetic structure there is. So, is he going to be able... I think he'd have to downsize next year to come in better, to be honest. So he's going to have to come in sharper and tighten up that midsection a bit. And, I don't know if he can, to be honest. I think, granted, Sean Roden, I thought was done, and he came back way better. So, you never know. Dexter, I think he's on his way out, like I mentioned. Granted, Sean Roden's in his 40s, and he came back and looked better than he ever has. So, you never know. It's crazy how much timing matters for these guys. Like, you have... Like, they prep for, months, and then it comes down to this, one peak day where you have to, hit it perfectly and hit your carb up and your insulin or whatever they're doing perfectly. And if you're off even a little bit, it shows like crazy on stage. And, I don't know. You think it'd be a formula they'd have down by now, considering they've all competed in the Olympia, many, many times. But I don't know. Anyways, I think it was deserved for Roden, even though Phil smokes them in the back and typically shows her won from the back. You see a lot of guys win from the back who structurally probably shouldn't have won. Example, Jay against Victor Martinez in 2007, I believe it was. I think Victor was definitely better than Jay that year, but Jay is just like a house and so wide from the back and just took it. And some people think that was an unfair decision, but a lot of times the back shots are what takes it, and that's why they always say, shows are won from the back. Same with why Coleman and Yates were always lights out. Once you hit the back, no one could beat them. I don't know. I was honestly surprised. Even while I was watching, I can tell Roden looks better in a lot of the front shots, pretty much all of them, but arms are way smaller in Phil Heath, so I thought side tricep, regardless if the midsection is more appealing of Roden, I think Phil's arms look like they're double the size, so I thought Phil would have taken that. The back shots, he wins them all easily, and then just the fact that he's won 7 times in a row, I thought and then this would be his deciding legacy win. I would think the judges would have gave it to him, but anyways, I think it was the best non-political show judging I've seen, because it was the people who deserved to win won. And I'd pick Roden's physique over Phil's if I had to pick and I was a judge, or even if I had to pick whose physique I'd want, I'd pick Roden's. But I think there's an argument there that Phil may have been able to win. I don't know. I think personally, I think Roden should have won, and he did win. I think Roley even looked insane. I think there's an argument that he maybe was in second, even if you don't favor the back shots as much as the front ones. I think all poses should be, equally worthwhile. So I think that's why this show went the way it did, is because it seemed like all poses were worth as much as other poses, as opposed to the back shots in many shows past seeming to be worth like twice as much as like a front ab thigh. So anyways, good show, really exciting. Happy for Roden. Looking forward to seeing him again next year. He almost reminds me of I'm not going to say a worse Flex Wheeler, but kind of, honestly. Their structure is pretty similar, but Flex was just like a bit rounder and I don't know, a bit more better arms. I don't know, that's about it. But I think they're pretty similar, honestly. It's almost like seeing a reincarnation of old Flex Wheeler, and it's pretty cool. Classic Bumstead. Arms didn't come up at all. Back still lacking as expected, honestly, even though I had him winning, and I thought it was more because of the hype behind him. The way I predicted these shows is based on how I think the judges are going to pick as opposed to who I think deserves to win. So that's why I had guys like Buendia in first when, well, I don't know. I guess Buendia typically deserves to win, but like, for example, Phil, I didn't think Phil deserved to win last year, but he did. And yeah, so that's why I called it that way this year. Classic Bumstead was, off and didn't seem to make any improvements, in my opinion. Typically, arms, it's like if you have really genetically crappy arms, if you don't shove a bunch of SEO into them, it doesn't matter how much you prioritize them in training, you're going to have terrible arms. And typically, even guys who load it with SEO, if you don't have good muscle bellies to fill out that muscle with the SEO, you're probably not going to make much progress either. And that's why, even Roden, his arms are lacking, but I'm sure he's pulling out all the stops to win. And Ben Pekulski, for example, another guy with very, very obviously lacking arms, and his whole training philosophy is based on science, and he's so smart about how to train. He always talked about how his training was smarter than Phil Heath and blah blah blah, and he'd do all these crazy things for arms, but then his arms still sucked at every show, and Phil's are insane. And that's because at the end of the day it comes down to genetics. And even if you have really poor muscle bellies, even if you shove a bunch of stuff into them, they're probably still going to look crappy. They just might be a more bloated, bigger, crappy version of your arms. So unfortunately for Bumstead, I don't think the arms are ever going to come up. Not that should be the deciding factor, but his back is obviously, lacking as well. But still has the potential to win, in my opinion. I think a guy like Steve Lorius, actually, I haven't seen his back, so I can't comment. But as far as structure-wise, I think he has what it takes to win the whole thing. If he is able to pack more, I don't really know if he needs more muscle, but I'd have to see his back. I haven't looked at the shots close enough, honestly, to judge. But just structure-wise, from what I've seen, he seems like the best classic guy there is, with the closest thing to Arnold. And I was surprised another guy who basically is, a shorter guy won the show, because classic, I figured they're going to favor the Bumsteads, the Wesley Vissers, the Hoffman, you'd think, but Hoffman got, as predicted, nowhere to be seen in the first call-out, or I don't even know what place he came in. I don't know if he was in the second call-out. I was trying to find the live stream, but couldn't find one. I don't know who was even able to watch it, but anyways, yeah, and then men's physique. I think there are guys, I think the thing is, the physiques I like are different than what the judges are looking for, so my predictions for physique are a bit, iffy. And it seems like it's kind of just like all these guys are formidably muscled to each other, so it's hard to just be like cut and dry who's the winner here. Like Franklin dropped to like 11th, and I had him in the top 5 or 6. And then the guy I had coming in 6th came in 2nd, and I don't think he has a second place physique, honestly, but I guess I'm wrong. But Buendia came off, and it left the door wide open for Hendrickson to come in. And yeah, anyways. Interesting show, though. Anyways, so Phil Heath, I don't think he's going to retire, but I don't know. I think if he places poorly next year, like if he comes in 2nd or less again, I think it's very likely to save his kind of like legacy. He's going to be forced to retire almost, kind of like when Jay was pushed out of the top 2 and he came in like 6th. Like there was no way he was going to compete another year because you knew he was downhill. And at that point, it's just kind of like ruining your legacy when you're a former multiple time Mr. O and you're just like going back to lose. So anyways, I think next year is going to be potentially Phil Heath's last year if he loses. So we'll see how that unfolds. But anyways, really entertaining show. And yeah, anyways, talk to you guys soon.